I've met this guy after COVID break. This guy decided to left Nairobi to go diaspora just to look for an opportunity. I'm gonna give this guy today his flower, but before I do that, let me remind you back. Let me take you back. Earlier on, we've been discussing about this issue, very well. So many people are debating. There's a pastor who online, best in Stella, said men nowadays should not kneel down when proposing. Anasema, according to biblical teachings and nini, anasema hiyo ni spiritual disorder. But akikuja kwa cultural, anasema in culture, for the cultural is very good. Dagi, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you Douglas Mutai, a well-known stand-up comedian, a founder of stand-up comedy in Nairobi, a CEO, producer, director, actor. Welcome to Baze Radio, the CEO, the KE. Douglas, karibu Baze.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Asante sana.
It's been long, bana.
It's been long. You've been busy. Uliomoka, you made it, and you just got busy.
What's the definition of komoka?
To get happy.
What?
You got happy, which is good.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Umeomoka?
Yeah, I guess so.
A bit?
Yeah.
What is your
Sina pesa, but niko na furaha. I'm content.
You're content with money or happiness?
I think, but it's all BS most of the time when we say komoka, because it's subjective to everyone, right? But it's one of those things. You tell people momoka, it's just like tumepoteleana sana. That's what I meant.
I didn't know that. I didn't say that. Just to ask you, Dagi, you've heard it. There's a pastor pale Stella anasema men should not kneel down when they're proposing.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
I mean, I think men, and even, I don't know, everyone should do what they want, man. If you feel like kneeling is what gets you what you need, you do what you have to do, man.
Is it necessary?
No, well, it's not. It depends on your situation. It depends on your situation. Sometimes you don't. If you feel like not kneeling will help you, you do what you need to do. If not kneeling will help you, actually help you. Like I'm not a big fan of like, what is it called? Blanket rules. Like men should never do this, men should never do this, women should never do you do what is right for you, man. Like people, if you get into those boxes too much, you get stressed out. You get too stressed out, man. Men should do what they want.
Given an opportunity, have you ever maybe kneeled before someone? Have you done it before?
Kneeled?
Yes.
For like to propose?
Yeah.
Well, I've never been actually fully married. I've never. So
uko wapi? Unajua kuna kamuistay, kuna tujuana.
Yeah, mimi ni mtu wa kamuistay. Mimi ni mtu wa hizo. Tuangalie vile hii maneno inaenda. Kisha kubaliana tuongee na wazee wanaenda wanaongea. Like everyone, you know what I mean? For as far as I'm concerned, when we sat together and we agreed to live together, that was enough for me. But wazee, they want their own things. You're like, okay, fanyeni yenyu kama mnataka. Kila mtu afanye sherehe yake. Hata your neighbors will do their own thing to celebrate you. They watafanya mambo yao. Like everyone does their own thing. I think it's okay, man. Like, I think it's okay. Me, if Kamui stays works for you, fantastic. You want to have a wedding in the Maldives, that's on you as well. Hiyo ni pesa yako unategemea. Bora usiniite mchango. By the hizo mamchango za wedding. For discretionary things, I don't like them. Like, people are like, this is discretionary. Tunaenda sijui, tuchangiane. Bro, you decided to do this. You could have, you know what I mean? Everything is there. You mumekubaliana muko sawa and fanyeni mambo yenyu.
I'm going to come back to you about mchango because I know for sure we're supposed to changa wakati mtu amekufa.
That's understandable. That's understandable, but because also I look at funerals as a form of therapy for the people who have lost. So if they need to celebrate, to do all that things, to have to feed people to come and hang out with them, it makes sense. By the way, I used to knock it.
To feed people to come and hang out with you?
See, that's what it is. Because the funeral is not for the dead. The dead person is gone. They don't care. It's for you who are alive. The funeral belongs to the alive people, the family. See, it's for consoling you. Which... It's understandable. By the way, I never used to be a big fan of mnafanya funeral music, but I'm like, you know what? You can't judge people's processes. The grieving process, it's their own process for grieving. So kama mnachangia familia ndio iomboleze vizuri, at least you know some of those people are gonna lose income for the days that they are mourning. So you mnawachangia, it's okay. I understand that. It's your friend. It's your homie, mnamchangia anajipanga ndio joaendi wera. That's understandable. But make no no mistakes about it. The funeral is for the people who are alive. It's not for the person who's dead. So you've heard that guy, the guy who was at Mount Everest.
Yeah.
I mean, man, that guy died doing what he wanted. That's the best flex you can think of. But the funeral is going to be there, but his body's not there. Like, cause he doesn't care. He's up there. He's sleeping in ice happily, like, cause he was happy when he went up there, right? And the family hapa ndio sasa wanaombolezwa. So I understand. It's like, yeah, they have to kind of sit together and mourn for their departed. So it belongs to the people who are alive.
Now you've made me ask you this question.
Okay.
Allow me to ask you this.
Yeah.
Why will people never give you money when you're alive? But when you're dead, they will contribute millions and millions. We wish to one day people to just contribute millions and millions just to send you off, to give you a nice send-off.
Yeah, but it's not for you. That the money doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your family. The people who are mourning you. It's for the costs of mourning you. Hata wewe mbona unakufa? What is wrong with you? Why did you die?
Kila mtu atakufa dagi. Kila mtu atakufa. All right,
Yeah.
my dear listeners, just to take you back, should we look back at the arranged marriages or can we stay in relationship instead of modern dating methods? Let me know. Send me a message on 0716250933. Coming shortly for you, Nakupenda Waire featuring Alain, now playing on BazeRadio.co, the KD. Danny 3MO featuring BN, top of the hour, taking us through in the third hour actually, and this is BazeRadio.co, the KE. My good name is Silva Kido. Early on, I've been joined by one of the leading stand-up comedian in 254. I'm talking about Douglas Mutai. How's it going, bro?
Pretty good, Silva.
Amazing.
I'm good, man. Yeah.
Everything amazing.
Yeah, life is good.
Will you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started into comedy, bana? What was your dagini, nani?
Man, I started in comedy, man, by being a bad student. That's how I got started, I think, being a noisemaker. But I was a performer for a while, and then when I went to college in Canada is when I got really started with stand-up. That's when I really did stand-up properly. I was in a place called Calgary, and then I started doing comedy there. And then when I came back, I picked up from where we left. But yeah, we had to do a bit more extra work. But that's where I was, man.
I know for sure when you left Kenya for Canada, you went for educational purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What inspired you to, decide to leave your degree, your diploma aside, just to pursue comedy?
It's just finding purpose, If that's what you're meant to do, you find yourself doing it. Like, there's really no magic. There's no genius on my part saying, okay, I'm going to choose to do comedy. It's just it's more like it chose me. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that the first time, I remember the first day I went to perform stand-up comedy, like I've always, when you're a performer or you're a broadcaster or whatever, you've always known you do certain things, but you're in trying to find your way, right? But that was the same thing for me with the creative arts. And then one day I signed up for comedy mic at a city that was like 2 hours away from where I used to live. I drove one afternoon, I drove in snow and ice and very dangerous conditions. There was a snowstorm, I think I remember that day. And I went and I performed, and then I came back and I had to drive back because I couldn't even afford to pay for accommodations. It's in the Lale Airport. I have to go back to my place. And it's like the bug bit. Like, it was one of the roughest nights of my life. It was winter, but even my inaitwa nini ile my heater kwa gari haikuwa inafanya kazi. Came back freezing, but I was hooked. And then from then on, every week I was traveling there, going and back, and then it became, and then there's the rest. They say is history.
How was it starting it? It's in a foreign country.
Right.
Doing it for the first time.
Right. I mean, it's like everything else. There's some pain involved, right? Like, there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make off the top for a while. Like, I think I never got paid for a gig I worked for at least 2 years straight before I got my first paid gig. And mind you, I was performing almost 7 times a week sometimes. Like, I'm doing sports, I'm performing in different places, I'm going through, trying to get to my 10,000 hours, I guess. And it was one of those things. It was really difficult. And I think even I was lucky. I got a lucky break when I got selected to play at the Winnipeg Comedy Festival when I was still very young in my career. And it gave me a break, and it kind of helped the rest of what followed with my career. But it was quite a journey. It was a tough
one.
Yeah.
2 years, you mentioned to me 2 years without even a cent.
Yeah.
How were you surviving?
No, I still have a job. You have to keep a job, but it's not a great job, but it's a job. It's not the glamorous, but it's what you're doing. It's what you do. I was a janitor at some point. I was a caretaker, and then I was working as lube technician, changing oil in cars and stuff like that. I worked as and then I got a better job that used to work in the summer. I was a safety specialist somewhere in oil and gas, Huko. And that kind of kept me afloat. But the comedy was not making me any money. I was just doing that it's just funding your passion. It's one of those things you would do even if you were not you do it even if you're not, if it's not about money. It's more than a paycheck to some people, and that's when you realize, oh, this is my passion, this is what I do, this is what I'm born to do, right? So it's a really nice feeling though, like when oh, I think this is what I'm born to do, and you just keep doing it till you grow, and then the rest follows. Everything else, the success, the happiness, all that follows.
In life, you need to have something that drives you. Dougie has a lot to share with us. Coming next for you, drama kwa Baze, Maya Amolo will be playing on Baze Radio.co.ke. Sorry, remix is playing on Baze Radio.co.ke. If you're tuning in right now, guys, you've been missing out, but don't panic. I still got Douglas Mutai, stand-up comedian, certified in the building. Dougie,
yes,
unajua ukiwa pale Canada, I believe there's that one memorable, unajua, one moment in your stand-up comedy career in Canada that you live to cherish forever. It will be your moment you live to tell forever and forever.
Oh man, one of the favorite things is I did a lot of cool stuff over there, but one of the ones that really stood out, even the first time I did it, was when I got booked to do the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. I was there for 6 days. I did like 6 shows throughout that period, and they are big shows. Like festival, there were some club shows, but even then they were big. Then I did Halifax, the comedy festival as well there, and I mean, man, every moment honestly was great. But that one stood out because I came from being a comedian who's never been on a paid stage before. I've just been working my butt off for 2 years, and then one day when the guys came to look, and then the local bookers, the guys who are booking the shows in the local, were like, hey, we gotta put you on the showcase so that the scouts for that festival who are coming, they'll see you. I think actually that is the only year that I was the only guy in that city who was booked. Like out of all these, I'm performing with pros who I really like, guys I'm looking up to, and they're like, you know what, yeah, good for you, man. Like it really meant a lot because a lot of people were just vouching for me for that run. So it was great. It was fantastic, and it also gave me the confidence that I needed to be like, all right, I think I'm in the right space. This is what I need to double down on. This is what I need to keep doing, and move forward.
Things happened. You changed back. You decided to board your plane back.
Yeah.
To Nairobi.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I came back. Visas ran out. They did. That
was the reason why you came back?
Yeah, I came back because of the visa, and I couldn't be bothered to be there. Well, I tried. I couldn't be bothered to be there. Like, I just was not ready to get married so that I can stay. But...
the African way,
yeah. See, everyone does that. Unatafuta kamomo fulani anakuweka vizuri.
Kashosho fulani.
Yeah, anakuweka vizuri, but I was not ready. So what happened was I came back. Actually, I came back trying to figure out which way I was going to use to go back. And then when I came back, Kenya was just so full of, it's just full of life, and opportunities were starting to show up around that time as well. So I was like, you know what? Let me figure it out. So I started doing, to be fair, I always had that dream of being able to do stuff back home while living there, so that I'd be shuttling back and forth. But, the visa had other plans for me. It said, you're going to go to your third world country and be there full time for a period. And that's what happened. And I had to make hay, or I had to make, juice, lemonade out of the lemon situation, and tried to do a few things here and there, pursue some opportunities that I'd been working on. When I was there, I used to, try and set up things here like you all do. So now I had to actually actualize them myself. And I did that for a bit before. Comedy, again, you cannot stay away from it too long when it's supposed to be something you do.
How was it coming back home, going back, that's the reality.
Yeah.
Starting afresh, no new friends.
Yeah. It sucks a bit. It sucks a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. It could, I was ready for it. I had to prep myself because I was like, this happens.
Mentally, you ready?
Not really. It took a while. So it comes, it sucks. The best thing is to accept immediately. That's always the best medicine. You accept so that you can deal with it properly. And that's what happened. I came and I had a good 6 months of me saying, am I going back? How do I go back? How do I play the system? And then I figured out, you know what? Let me just do stuff. Well, in that 6 months, I'm doing my stuff, And then now, as I'm there in that 6 months, I'm getting, this is actually where I should be. There's a good reason for why I came here. This is looking better than I thought. That it's not as bad as you're made to feel and believe. So I just started preparing to stay, and that's what happened. And I stayed, and I set up a new. I set up with the farming. The whole. I even did construction for a bit, but. It just became a thing now that I'm like, all right, I'm home, let's build this, let's work on this. And then kidogo, comedy nikarudi sasa. I needed to go a place to go invent and do my stuff and do comedy. And there was no place to do that. There was no space.
We're coming back to find out what really happened. Was there no place? Or you didn't know the place? Coming up for you guys next, Kaske Vibaya, Saru featuring Furthermore. Time Bomb, KRG John featuring Conscience. If you're tuning in right now, we've been having great conversation by one and only Douglas Mutai, stand-up comedian, founder, stand-up collective. Dougie.
Yes, sir.
This year, everyone is fighting for his space. You came back to Nairobi, there's no space for you to do stand-up comedy. Right. How was it? Kwani hatuna stand-up comedian. By the way, Ebu, make me understand what is the difference between stand-up comedy and being a comedian as well. Let me take this opportunity before we talk about that. Let me just pick up one of my, good friend all the way from Zambia. Chingli, big up. Thank you so much for tuning on Baze Radio to see the KE. Just to remind you, tomorrow, Friday, 31st, Night of Laughter event is happening at Daffodil Events, Pale Eugene University. To my Zambia loyal fans, Maze, let's find a way to a night of laughter comedy. Chinglis will be there, Sims will be there, Smokes will be there, Lads, Rahman, plus many, many more. Do you wish to travel to Zambia maybe one day?
I would love to do Zambia.
Chingli is listening right now. Chingli,
awesome.
Have my boy in Zambia, Maze.
It's one of my dream cities for sure. Countries, I mean. Lusaka is one of my dream cities.
Hope to see you.
Yeah.
Lusaka might be calling anytime soon. Yeah, Dagi, what's the difference between, being a stand-up comedian and a comedian?
Oh, I mean, both are comedian. So there's a difference. So I'm guessing you're referencing sketch, right? So sketch is these, skits. What we now know them as skits. Those guys are doing skits. Stand-up comedian performs in front of a crowd. So your joke either works or doesn't work, but you find out immediately. So which is a bit different from sketch, where you record and then you edit and then you put it out. You can even pre-edit and change what you're doing. Sketch is almost like it's a production. It's a different kind of production basically. But stand-up it has to rely on an audience. So it's impossible to do a stand-up without an audience.
Okay.
You have to have an audience with you for that to actually qualify as stand-up comedy. That's why it came from you stand-up and comedy. But lots of people do really well with sketch. Like we know some of the goats in this country are actually sketch artists with a large body of work that can be seen. So to speak. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. You coming back as a stand-up comedian, I believe Kenyans were not ready. There was no stand-up comedians, at least maybe few 2 or 3.
Yeah. There was a few comics. I mean, a lot of the guys who were even doing the TV show that was Churchill are stand-ups. There was just no space for stand-ups because the Churchill was a TV show, right? And they would do stand-up and variety and everything else. And it used to give, but that was the only stage. So guys didn't have another place to even build the skill of stand-up comedy. That was the issue at that time. There was no other stage. So what ends up happening is, it's like if you're an athlete and you don't have a place to practice, to get good, to plan your play, to do what you're gonna do. So that's why we actually started, I think, our first show. But shout outs to some guys who had already started then. Back there was a guy running a Nairobi Comedy Club back then, was doing places, but they were not very sporadic. And they'd have shows every now and then, every 6 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes it takes a year. But then we started our first show at CBD. There was a place called the Blues Restaurant, which was also a restaurant, an interesting restaurant, plays only blues music. Yeah, that's why we started our first show that we used to do there every month. We had to come up with a place, something to do.
Did this slow down maybe?
Eh?
Did this slow down?
Like what?
You as a stand-up comedian?
Slow me down? Yeah. The lack of stage time?
Yes.
Absolutely. It does in a way. It does. It slows you down. You have to get started again. And also even figure out an audience. You have to build an audience, and guys talk about just growing the comedian. It's also growing the audience. You have to grow the audience in a way. Like there's also even audience training. There's some things that the audience does not know, how best they can enjoy a stand-up comedy show. And those are the things the work that we had to put in to get to that level where guys are actually learning how comedy is, what the etiquette is, and how you best enjoy it. Yeah, and some people it takes them a while. Some people are already there. They know what it is that's required of them. They figured it out. Yeah.
Time Bomb, KRG The Don featuring Conscience, playing right now on BazeRadio.co. Welcome back. This is BazeRadio.co. Dagi.
Yes, sir.
Coming back in Nairobi, things have changed.
Yeah.
There's no, setup. There's no comedy nights.
Yeah, back then.
There's no comedy. There's no stand-up comedians. Back then you had to maneuver yourself. How did you end up being on Churchill?
Oh, well, I was looking for stage time, right? That's what was happening. So I called a few people who I knew. Ask them what's happening. I already knew Butita. I knew some guys there who was already, I even knew Berry because I had already done something. So I went there and I did, I needed the open mic. I needed a place to just wet my feet, so to speak. But just feel the pulse of the city with my performance and stuff. So I went there for the open mic, but the open mic was not an actual open mic as you would call it in the traditional sense. It was a show that happens before the main show. And I didn't know that. So I show up with my raw material, tried and tested my process. I'm coming with my process. And the audience was not loving it. It was disaster. And then, now I'm also performing in English, which the audience was not liking also very much. So it was, I did my thing and then I left. And then I kind of went back to my stuff for a while and then took a break for a few, maybe even almost 2 years while working on my other stuff. And then I came back and then I met Brian and then Emmanuel, and then that's when we started doing other things. Like we started actually thinking we need to build a scene together. We need to work on getting a spot. And that's what we did. We opened, we got a room. Like we talked to a restaurant, Akakubali, the Blues Restaurant. That's where we started, the very first one. And then we started doing shows monthly. And then after that, weekly. Then after that, we have shows. Now we're doing shows. We have multiple shows per week. Like we have shows every Friday. We have a fantastic show every Friday called The Joke Machine. And Saturday, the Nairobi Laugh Bar presents. And we have a full-time comedy club. That's something to be happy about. So But when starting out, it was just like everything else you're starting. It's a slow grind. People don't get it. Like they're like, no, there's no stand-up comedians in Kenya. They keep saying that. Like, in fact, the consistent message is people who kept saying, I didn't know this thing existed in Kenya. Right? Like, I mean, yes, right. Yesterday, Chappelle played in Kenya and people are still saying, I didn't know this thing existed. It's like, come on, guys. Guys also have to apply themselves a bit.
Then what is the state of the comedy in Kenya?
It's about to blow up. The comedy that we have in Kenya is about to blow. It's amazing. We have good quality, world-class stand-up comedians in Kenya. They exist. The reason why people don't know them is because a lot of the stuff, they don't have a TV show. They're not famous. They don't do sketches. So also, you get to know some of our sketch geniuses put out their stuff enough times that people can see them.
Okay.
With stand-up, it's a bit more different. The process of building a thing takes a bit longer to build an actual act that you can put out. But if guys actually look out and come to these comedy clubs, the scenes that we have, you will be blown away. If you are a fan of stand-up or you want to see stand-up, you will be blown away.
How has it evolved over the years?
It's evolved nicely. Like it's been like a tough. It's with its own growing pains, but it's evolved. It's evolved. Like I'm telling you, Kido, I'm not kidding you. It's world class, and I know this because I've played other cities. I've played across, multiple places in the world, and I know this is also just as good, if not even better. So than some places we think are better, our scene is also really strong. We have amazing comedians playing here, and Nairobi is a fantastic city.
Nairobi is a fantastic city, rich of cultures, Douglas, we're going to come back more now just to find out this year what plans you have for us, because we've seen international stand-up comedians are landing in the countries. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
They're here for material. They're shooting their own series. I don't know. We're not sure for that. But for now, Banga Isa coming up next for you on BazeRadio.co, the KE. Ogopa Wasani. Dagi.
Yes, sir.
As it reflects to comedians, we should Ogopa comedians.
Yeah, Ogopa Wasani, bro.
What is that, Ogopa Bana?
Wasani, I don't know. I don't know sijaelewa your song by the way. Nasema Ogopa Wasani. Mimi nini walimkosea? Wasanii wako tu sawa. Wasanii are okay.
Artists are very okay.
Yeah, some people are dealing with their own demons. You can't fault them for it. Acha deal tunayo. But just be careful.
You have to be.
It's treated like human life. It's just, I think that mwanamuziki anajaribu kutuambia kwamba we're supposed to just be careful of human beings, because if you say wasanii are human beings, and everyone is dealing. Sometimes people are dealing with their own demons.
Do you trust your friends? Do you trust people surrounding you?
Yeah. I mean, you have to trust them, right? But you don't always. You have to have levels of trust, right? There are people you trust more than others.
What are those levels?
There are I have personal friends who know me from a long time, and then there are acquaintances. There are people you work with. Your interests only align, and you're at different points in time where your interests are aligning. You can't take it personal when their interests and yours are not aligning, and you're not going to have to be with them. So, that's a piece of advice for everyone. Yeah, you have to be able to discern what level engagement do I have with these different people. That's all it is.
This year, what plans do you have?
Oh man, we have massive plans, amazing plans. Just people, I need to pay attention to what we're doing. There's a lot of fantastic comedy coming through the city. More guys are coming up in the next couple of months. It's the Nairobi Laugh Bar. We have more like global, and more guys are hearing about it now. Like more good comedians want to come to the country and check it out and do stuff. So we have amazing people coming that you laugh at utasema wow, they're amazing. We also have more. The Nairobi International Comedy Festival is coming back. We just did a small iteration a few weeks ago. It wasn't really as big as it's supposed to be, but next year is now coming back better.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Like beginning of the year, actually.
Let's talk about Nairobi Laugh Bar.
Yeah.
What normally happens there?
Nairobi Laugh Bar is a full-time comedy club we have in Nairobi. Guys go there and perform, comedians, almost any day of the week. Right now we have shows on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and some Thursdays. Even Thursdays we have quiz nights and stuff like that. Some Thursdays as well. The goal is just a space for Kenyans to experience. You know how you can go and experience live music anywhere? That's the same thing for comedy. You need to be able to find a place you can experience live comedy from world-class comedians as well, you know. It's one of those, for every comedian it's a dream come true to have a place where you can just go and play and mess around. Even up and coming comedians have a place on Monday in that same place, Nairobi Laugh Bar, where you can go and you try out your stuff and you learn, and then you can actually start getting onto shows where you are performing in front of a real audience. But yeah, that's the whole goal is just to grow the culture, you know, and Kenyans to know that comedy exists and to appreciate it and actually enjoy it and benefit from it. That's the long and short of it, man. But I can't say enough good things about that. It's in Lavington. I guess it's in Lavington, and we have many shows, and we're doing more stuff. We're doing more stuff for those things to happen.
All right, I guess we wind up this conversation. What advice will you give to an aspiring, comedian in Kenya? Because I know for sure you've got some, vast experience as a comedian in Kenya.
Right. But you just gotta do it, man. You just have to do it. Like if you ever want to find out if this is your thing, there is no better teacher than experience. Try it out, do it, and then you'll know from there. And then maybe it's not for you. Some people think they like it, then once they do, they're like, nah, this is not me.
How can fans stay connected with you?
Follow me on Dough Mutai on all platforms. You can also check out shows I'm doing at the Stand Up Collective or at Nairobi Laugh Bar. Also on all platforms, you can find us on there. Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you so much. Is there something about you maybe you like your audience to know today? One thing.
What specifically?
Come on. Something about your life, some personal experience.
It's tricky because there's a lot I would like them to know about
one
me.
For us.
Yeah? So which one would you like to know? I am...
okay, tell me this. How do you stay motivated and inspired the whole time?
All right, that's a good one. That's a very good question. You just gotta do that. Know that this is the life we're doing, man. We're doing life. That's how you stay motivated. You know, everything is that if you're dealing with things get a bit rough, you know, this happens to everyone, and these too shall pass. Like all the other things, they pass. Like so, it's a good place of peace, man. And also try and find peace as much as you can.
Comedy heals?
It does.
It does?
It does, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for having time to pass by on Baze Radio to see KE. Shere, it's Yaba featuring Major playing right now on Baze Radio to CODKE. Till tomorrow, Friday, midday 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Douglas, God bless you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
This is Baze Radio.
We are 254 to the core.